So my name is Teemu Tapanila, and I'm here today to speak to you about Windows Azure and how to use it to spread the love across platforms. How many of you guys have used Windows Azure? Cool. Almost a third of the people. So, first of all, I'm a Microsoft student partner. I work in a company called App Campus. We are sharing money, training, and teaching for Windows Phone application creation. To create a really cool Windows Phone applications, you will need to create a backend. And we think that Windows Azure is a perfect choice to create that backend. So let's start a little bit about when is a great time to use cloud. When there is a case that you have on-off load in your servers. For example, you are doing research. You have now calculated and collected enough information, and you are calculating something from that data mass. After you have done the calculation, it might take you a while to collect more data and get some information out of that analysis. During that time, you have no need for everything for the servers. And after that, you are again need of all of that service power. So that's called on and off. For that kind of purposes, it's perfect if you have cloud pattern, because you don't need to have a huge reserve just waiting for you. And while you are not needing it, it would be useless. But in a cloud, you can always scale it out and up when you need it. And of course, you can scale it off when you don't need it. Then, of course, it's the case that you are growing fast. If you are building a new service, you don't know if you are going to fly, if you are going to grow fast, or if you aren't going to grow fast. For that kind of purposes, it's perfect to use cloud. Because if you wouldn't be using a cloud, you would need to buy new servers, buy new network connections, maybe buy even a new space if you're growing too fast. With the cloud, you just switch the slider and you have more power. And your service stays responsible, even though that you have a huge amount of new users. Then it's, of course, predictable bursting. One example is the ticket sales. You know that when you put your tickets into sales, there will be a huge amount of people that wants the ticket now. Not tomorrow, not the day after that. They want it now. And your service should be able to respond to that need. For that kind of service, cloud is also perfect because it's very easy to scale it up in just a couple of minutes and make sure that it's able to respond. And of course, after the burst, it's easy to scale it down back to the normal level. Then is, of course, predictable bursting. For example, CRM. There is not maybe so many users during night. There is some few users doing work during night for some reasons. But most of your users are working during day. So you know that during day you need more servers, more resources. And during night you don't need that much. So you can save a nice amount by just turning your service down during the night. So there is few models how you can enable the cloud. On the right, there is the model where you host everything. You make sure that electricity is running, servers are running, everything is working, backups, the people are keeping them up. If you are on that model currently, and you want to take the next step, the cloud, ECS1 is a platform as a service, which basically means that the service provider will take care of some of the stuff. They will take care of the servers. They will take care of the personnel running the real hardware. If there is some, let's say, overheating or hard drive problems, they will fix those. Also, they will provide you the network. So it's pretty easy, if you currently are running virtual machines, to move them directly from your server room to the cloud, and that will enable you to clone them in case you need more power. Oh, sorry, that was infrastructure as a service. Then the platform as a service is the next step. In that case, even the operating system and the middleware is provided by the service operator. In that kind of case, you're only running your code and your data to create whatever you're currently creating. And then, of course, the final thing is a software as a service. For example, Dropbox. You register, you start using. You don't need to care about anything else. And currently, Windows Azure is providing all of these. One example is virtual machines. You can currently easily create new virtual machines from templates. There are ready-made templates for Windows servers, for Linux Red Hat, Linux Ubuntu. And it's just like one click, and it will install it, and then in 5 minutes, it's done, it's running, and you can start using it. Or if you want to run something custom, you can package your own operating system into virtual hard drive and just upload it into the Windows Azure. If you ever need more servers that you have once created, it's very easy to duplicate them and use even the custom model that you have once provided to provision even more server power. If you want to go even further, for example, you are mainly interested in hosting websites, web APIs, then the Windows Azure offers you websites. With the websites, you don't need to worry about anything else except your own code, which is perfect because you're a developer, you are not an IT pro. So it separates the responsibilities so that you don't really need to know anything else except it is working, and this is how you use it. It's very fast to take in. It will only take you a few minutes to create a new website and start using it right away. Also, the website supports the new ways of publishing stuff. You can use directly a GitHub repository, so whenever you make a commit, it will automatically publish that version into the websites. So, if you want very fast, very easy way to create websites, Azure Websites is a perfect way. Also, in websites, there is ready-made templates for you. Example, if you want to use WordPress, if you want to use Drupal, it's very easy. You just click the template, give out what name you want it to be, and it's creating it and telling you the username and passwords to use it. But you also can make your custom application using ASP.NET, PHP, and etc. Then a little bit more about cloud services. If you want to create something even more complex, you can use cloud services with worker roles and web roles. With that, you can create multi-tier application and use the full power of scaling without just providing your own code. You don't need to worry about anything else except writing your own application. For example, you might have a few instances of machines that are using a lot of memory, a lot of processing power. Let's say that they are calculating algorithm stuff. Then you have a lot of small instances that are taking care of distributing the result of those two processes into the multiple locations. So for every kind of need, there is many solutions. And the cloud is flexible. So it's very easy to use it for multiple stuff. Then, the Windows Azure also offers services. For example, SQL Database. How many of you use some kind of database in your backend or have used SQL Database? Almost everyone. So how easy it is to create currently a database? You click on the portal, you give out how big you want it to be, you give it a name, you click next, and it's done. You can direct away start using it. And even if you want only the database, you can do it. You don't need to get everything from Azure. You can start getting pieces, and then the next piece again, if you are wanting to migrate slowly into the cloud. Of course, you can start off buying the whole stack, which I prefer. Then there is a blob storage. If you want to store big files, you are not putting them on the database. At least I hope so. You are putting them on blob storage. Blob storage scale automatically. It's a very cheap way to store your data. And you can very easily use it also to share your data through a web. Also, there is multiple other blocks in Azure that you can enable if you want. Databases we already covered. Storage, there is the SQL database, and then blob storage. Then traffic, if you need. There is load balancers automatically. Then there is a caching, if you need very, very fast response time. Messaging, if you want to send messages between two systems. Example, on-premises and a cloud. Identity, media, content delivery network, and networking. But there is one specific block that is very relevant to these days. The newest service is called Windows Azure Mobile Services. How many of you think that a very complex mobile application need a good backend? Right. How many of you think that they can create a backend in 5 minutes? Good, because that's true. With this service, you seriously can create backend very quickly, very fastly, and very easy. Currently, this is in a preview mode, and it's good to go. And if you are creating applications, you almost every time need to use somewhere to store the data and retrieve the data. Then you also might need authentication to make sure that only that user can get that data and to return only the specific data of that user. Then, of course, it will offer you locking, notifications, and scalable. Then it will also offer diagnostics. So, if you are building a new, modern application for mobile, this is your platform. Even though this is a Microsoft product, it currently supports all of the major mobile platforms. And they got ready-made templates for all of those mobile platforms. So if you're an Android user, you just create this service and download the Android template. I can start right away using it very easily. But you can use the same backend for Windows 8, for Windows Phone 8, and for iOS. You don't need to create another services or anything. You can right away start using it with all of these platforms. So common scenarios is that you're always creating the simple database. Then you're creating some kind of APIs to retrieve and store and edit the data. This will do all of that automatically for you. And then, of course, it supports push notifications for all of the platforms. It's very easy to develop. You don't need to use even any kind of tools. You can create this directly from the portal. Now I'm going to demo it to you. If you have any questions, please just raise your hand, shout it out loudly, and I will try to answer it. So this is a Windows Azure portal. Currently, my portal is showing the red rectangle, telling me that I have my subscription ending, and the green status tells me that everything is going fine. As you can see on the left, there is a huge amount of different kind of services that you can use. So for example, for creating a virtual machine, you are just clicking virtual machine, create new, and I'm going to choose from a gallery. So from here, I can choose whichever operating system they already have as a template if I want to use something already made. So let's create Windows Server. Click Next. Give it a name. Then give a password, which of course is a password. And if you are not giving a strong enough password for the operating system, it will already at this point tell you to change it and make it stronger. So let's create a little bit harder one. Then I can choose the size of the machine that I want to run it. And I'm totally fine with the small one. Then it will ask me again the name. I like the voice of Finland. And then it will ask me where do I want to store it. And let's put it on North Europe. And it will ask me if I want to put additional features into it. I don't. I'm just creating it. Now it will take a while to create it. And during that time, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a new website. So when creating a website, I told you that you can easily create it from the gallery, already existing application. And there is a pretty nice set of already made templates. There's the Drupal, Blog Engine, WordPress, Joomla, Umbraco. So for example, if I want to create a new WordPress site, I just choose it, give it a name, and it's using the MySQL database. I have already an existing MySQL database created, but if you don't, it will just automatically create you a new database and use all of the credentials of that newly created database. Yep. So now I have started of creating a new WordPress website. So while it's creating a website, after it is done, you can use your browser and directly start using that website. It will only take a few minutes at max to create that website. While it's doing that, I will also show the mobile services. Mobile services are as easy to create as anything else. The main idea is that everything is very simple to create, very simple to manage, everything through this one portal. And because you cannot see the web address, it's manage.windowsazure.com. And you log in, of course, with your Windows Live ID, and everything is based on that. So now I'm creating the mobile services. I will again use woochat.fi, and it's telling me it's freely available, and it will add this Azure mobile, azure/mobile.net into my URL, so that I can have samely named servers and mobile services. You can of course always buy a custom domain for your application if you need it. Okay. And then you're creating a new database. Or if you're using existing one, it's asking you your password. So I go back and choose Create New SQL Database. So now it will instead create me a new SQL database server. Or you can choose, yeah. Let's create it. Oh, I mistyped something. There we go. And now while it's creating that, let's go back to the virtual machines. And as you can see, my virtual machine is now currently in a stopped stage. So it's still being provisioned. So it's not yet ready. If we go to the websites, you can see that my WordPress website is already up and responding to requests. So it's pretty simple to create all of these services and use them for your backend service. I'm now going to show you more about the mobile services service, and then tell you a little bit more about the portal itself and what you can manage from it. And as currently it's not responding, means that it's still not yet fully initialized. The WordPress is still creating the databases. So let's go to the mobile services and use this one. So if you're creating a new Windows Store application, there is already made templates for C# and JavaScript. And it's easily telling you that if you don't have the tools, install the Visual Studio, install the SDK, then download whichever package you want. And then choose, of course, save it. And here is your whole application ready for your coding. So you don't need to do anything else than download the template. And you're ready to create your next Windows 8 application using the Windows Azure mobile services. It's now opening me the project, and because it's downloaded from web, it's asking me, do I trust this? It's my project, so of course I trust it. So after this, I can right away start coding, and it's responding. Then there is an instructions how to add authentication. You can easily add Amazon Live, Google ID, or other OAuth providers for your authentication needs to authenticate the user. Then when you need to push notifications, there is also very good instructions to do it. But it takes a little bit of time. Then there is also data. From a data, you can easily create your data structure. From here, you can see all of the currently, I have only ID. And if you want to create a new fields, you just like simple can add them to here. Then there is a permissions. You can require that user has it's authenticated, or that it's an admin to be able to change the values in your data. So you don't need to create your own permission engine if this is enough for you. If you want to scale it, make it answer more requests, you can easily just save it. Yes. And then use the slider to scale your service up. And it's currently only able me to use 3 instances. If you want to use more, you can easily put a support request and ask them to give you more. But just using 3 is more than enough for most of the services. And it's there to stop you from creating a huge amount of bill into your statement. So that's why it's not allowing me to scale more currently than 3, but 3 is more than enough. It's also asking me if I want to do locking. So you can easily put it log your services, and everything that is logged will be shown here. Let's go back a little bit to the Visual Studio. If you look at the code that it created a huge amount of code. Well, not really huge, but some amount of code. And now it's ready to use it. And if you run it, you can easily then edit your application based on that template to go even further, to customize the experience for whatever is your need. So that's here. It's simple insert to do item. You can say hello and save it. And then create more. And then, of course, refresh the data. And if you exit the application and open it with another machine, you would get the same results. Because currently it's not using authentication, so it's providing everyone the same data set. So it's a pretty simple way to create a backend for your Windows 8 or Windows Phone 8 or Android application. Oh, sorry. Now, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. So when we do have template for Windows Phone 8, right away. So when you are at the dashboard, sorry, let's go back one step. So at here, there's Windows Phone 8, create new Windows Phone 8, download the template. So it's already there. Any other questions? If not, then I would like to thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.